Hey everyone, welcome back to Lumber Capital Log Yard. There have been a lot of requests to do a Q&A with the boss, and I was finally able to get him to answer some of your guys' questions, so I hope that you enjoy. This video is a pretty long one, but I think it's worth watching the whole thing. As always, remember to like and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at lumbercapital07. How do you feel about the business being on YouTube?
Can I show you what I think about technology? This is my telephone. Still have a flip phone. I don't text. I've never made a text. So having a business on YouTube feels very, very uncomfortable. And I have very mixed emotions about it. So especially all the girls there at the log yard working makes me feel, as a father, a little uncomfortable.
Do we make a lot of mistakes on the LT40?
Well, first of all, I can't look at the camera directly. Not because of the question, but because Emerald is with me doing a firewood delivery. So if I'm looking straight ahead, it's because I'm driving. Do the girls make a lot of mistakes on the LT40? They make a lot of mistakes they don't tell me about on the LT40.
Harsh.
And they try and cover up the mistakes they make on the LT40. And I always have someone to blame, and that's usually Samantha, who doesn't run the LT40. You can ask her about that.
Okay.
To answer your question more seriously, Emerald and Jane do an absolutely fantastic job running that machine, and I'm very proud of them. And they're very concise about it. A better question would be, is who is better running the LT40, Emerald or Jade? Now remember, Em's holding the camera, so I have to be careful how I answer that. So I'm just gonna let you maybe speculate. They both do a very good job running the machine.
If the girls wanted to paint the wall bright pink instead of gray, would you let them?
No. Not at all.
That's a good answer. Because do I still call you the boss man at home?
I think the girls try and keep the separation between work and home. The answer is no, they do not call me the boss man at home. They don't actually call me the boss man at work. I only hear myself referred to as that when I watch the video after it's done. So that is a new name for me. I've never been called that, and it does sound sort of weird to my own ears to hear my kids calling me the boss man. I'm not even sure if it's a point of endearing kindness or if it is actually a bit of sarcasm. I think you might be surprised to see how things actually go at the log yard, and you might find a reason that they call me the boss man when I'm there. So I just told Em to roll the tape, so now you can actually see how antiquated I am. I guess it's hit the button on record camera, telephone. I don't even know really what it is. We are on a firewood delivery, and it's a little before noon. And so Em's getting out of a little bit of school here because I asked her to come with me on the delivery. I always say in the logging industry there's 7 hours and 59 minutes of sheer boredom and 1 minute of sheer panic every day. And when we get to this guy's driveway, which is our third time up here now within the last 12 hours. I don't know that you'll catch the sheer panic on the video, but it is sheer panic trying to get in. Some of the areas around is the 2nd of December. Our mountains aren't high in Pennsylvania, but we do have snow. We're starting to get frost in the ground, and off-road deliveries are getting very, very, very difficult to some of the houses that are back up in the hills. I often come home a little fried at the end of the day, and there's always stories to tell about what happened and how we figured the way out of the problems, and how we got the truck back to the yard safely, which is of course my concern, so we can go and do it the next day.
Why don't you show up in a lot of videos?
Because I don't like being on camera, ever. Do I like family pictures, Emerald?
No, not at all.
Do I like being on camera at all? Do I always ask you to keep me out of what's going on?
Yeah, but I talk you into it usually.
The other reason I don't show up on a lot of videos is I'm actually not at the log yard all that often. I'm usually in the woods logging. You have seen some logging videos, but that is the committed end of the business. We do buy some products. We do buy firewood from other companies in a wholesale form, a raw product, and still in pole form. And we do buy some hemlock logs from other loggers. But most of what we process is harvested by myself, and to keep that flow of energy coming to the log yard, it requires a commitment to being in the woods. So actually doing firewood deliveries, which I thoroughly enjoy, is actually quite a break from me, because I get to ride around in a halfway decent truck that has heat and AC, stuff I'm not used to in the woods. Also has a radio that works, which you know, is nice. I'm able to actually catch a weather forecast, which in our mountains, I rely on Terry calling me, especially during potential snow events and during the summer when we get thunderstorms, because we get so socked in, we have no visibility in the mountains where we're working, and we cannot see storms coming. And sometimes we're at least an hour away from where the pickups are to get us out of the woods, and that can be a very long and scary ride out, especially when we get extremely bad storms. I've waited out storms in the logging machinery, which is a safe place to be, but I've had trees come right down on top of the machines with me in them because of downburst winds and stuff like that you just, you know, you aren't prepared for. You just can't make it out of the woods fast enough. So that's, I guess, why you don't see me in many of the videos. It is absolutely, I really do not like it. I feel a little cornered and threatened right now. And I'm just not actually at the log yard all that much. So that, I guess, is why.
Because you live with so many girls, how much beer do you go through in a week?
Is this a serious question? How much beer do I drink in a week? Okay, I'll tell you this. We have an absolutely fantastic brewery in town, and I sell them firewood for their outdoor firewood pits. I have never once taken payment from them. I just take my payment in gift certificates for their beer. Does that answer your question?
They should sponsor this video.
It's New Trail Brewing. They are a great brewery, and you can find their beer certainly in Pennsylvania, and I think now they're distributing across the Northeast. So it's New Trail Brewing, and I sell them firewood. So, and I do take the payment in beer, if you will.
When did you get your first mill?
If I could rephrase the question, is how long have we been operating a mill that I own as a business? It's about 15 or 16 years. But there's a story behind that mill. Our first mill was a Wood-Mizer LT15. At the time, it was the cheapest mill and smallest mill that they made. And when I started this business and bought the land that we have now, all I wanted to do was have that as a firewood yard. But the township that we're in wouldn't allow me to do firewood there. So I had to go to what in Pennsylvania we call a special exception hearing. And the log yard had to be classified as a lumber mill. So I had to go out and buy a lumber mill. And I bought a lumber mill without the intention of actually using the mill. And that was, like I said, 15 or 16 years ago. And shortly after that, we had an extremely wet year. And we started experimenting with the mill and doing railroad ties. And we cut hundreds and hundreds, actually thousands of railroad ties on that LT15. And then we started cutting hemlock. And then the idea after that had been we would like to handle our own material off our log sites instead of turning around and selling the softwood logs to other mills. And that was the intention with the upgraded mills that we bought. The next mill was an LT35, and then you see the mill that M&J are running is the super hydraulic, the LT40. And then we have also added a new LT15 with several extended decks on it, so we can do up to a 25-foot beam on those on that mill. And that is also the mill that Sam will cut the lap siding and the shingles on as well. We have an attachment for the bed of that mill for that purpose. Wheel low to get up this.
Oh boy.
It's not that big a deal.
It looks wet,
but when
though.
you're doing this, when you put it in four-wheel low, it's going to want to shift through the gears real quick. So you have to stop it from doing that. So I'm going to lock it into second gear. And that will be, this is the gear, and I'll just give it gas and we'll make it up it. But I came up this in two-wheel drive last night before it was wet. I spun all the way up to this point.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was not good. And it was with this truck and trailer. And I came up with the big truck and trailer earlier. You can't see this, I'm sure, because the grade never shows up. Our logging videos almost always look like they're on the flat. We're in four-wheel low coming up this hill. I made it up last night in two-wheel drive. I've got great mud tires on this truck for this very thing, and we spun all the way up the road, which isn't appropriate to do. It's a private road. So we're in four-wheel low coming in. We have to back up the fella's driveway just up ahead here. I've got one cord on the back of this truck. It's a load of oak. So it probably weighs 4,000 pounds, and the trailer itself weighs like 2,100. So we have about 6,000 pounds of bumper weight on the truck, which isn't too much for the truck. It just, you know, you have to be in the right position to do the delivery. I use four-wheel low all the time for backing up driveways I've never had to buy a transmission, but slipping the automatic transmissions up a grade, spinning your tires, I just don't think it's worth it. It also saves my tires too. So these diesels, you just give them a little bit of gas and they'll walk right up. Yeah, I'm gonna drop the electric pressure on the trailer brakes to go down the hill. We're gonna let the truck in four-wheel low now that we're unloaded, and we're just drift down the hill on the transmission. The Dodges also have an exhaust brake, so that helps hold back. I know you can't see the grade on the road, but I came down with the truck in just standard two-wheel drive, and I had to ride the brakes all the way down, and the trailer was sliding and pushing, so it just isn't the way to do it. It'll take an extra 30 seconds to get down through here, but it's worth you know, not sliding the tires and stuff like that. So just let the truck and the transmission do the work. Tiny little area right here where cars can pass. That's why they did that.
Why did you start the log yard?
I don't have any of these answers scripted, so it takes me a second to think about it. And it was almost 2 decades ago. The reason I started the log yard is something that Emma's talked about. She's dedicated at least one video to it, and it's something that I'm very passionate about. It is trying to develop a no-waste strategy for this industry. And I think that the people that I see having success in this industry are able to find a value to every part of a tree. And I didn't want to waste it. A lot of logging, a tree is harvested for the log value, and that's where the value ends. And our intention is to use the crotches and the burls, which are total waste products in the logging industry. You know, it's not part of a saleable log. It's actually counted as a defect. And when you get past those sections of the tree, then you have your limbs, and it's a phenomenal amount of firewood. And even currently, as much firewood as I try and get out of a tree, we probably leave half again as much behind in the woods. And I'm constantly trying to develop processes of getting more of that product out of the woods. I ask a lot of questions. Competitors, I watch other YouTube videos to see what people are doing, and nobody seems to have the great solution. And that is something that we're working on, and we will have some videos in the future coming up of how to get more firewood onto your landing in an economic manner that allows it to be profitable come firewood season. So the reason I started the yard was actually to have a firewood yard and to have some place to process. I Another thing that's sort of interesting about logging is it is extremely weather driven. Very few logging companies harvest while it's wet or while it's even raining. And the reason is just it's a mess. It's very hard to work in those conditions. And I like to work. I'm not looking forward to a rain day when I can sit at home and watch YouTube videos. I would prefer to actually be at work. And my kids will tell you I work almost 70 hours every week and have done that for almost 30 years now. I started, my start time varies, I guess, anywhere between 6:30 and 7:30, sometimes 8 during the winter. But I work till 8 o'clock at night. I worked till 8 o'clock last night. And the first 2 cords of firewood that I delivered this morning, it took me 3 hours to process them onto the other truck. And I did that long after everybody was gone. Em and Jade were at dance class. Judah was at martial arts. And Terry was running them around. And nobody was home. And I just, you know, like I said, I didn't want to go home. I just thought, oh, I just stay and do what I do what I'm good at. So that is the reason we have the yard, so that come a rain day, I'm able to keep doing, and it also matches up with my work philosophy of not wasting products in the woods and putting a value to them. And that's why we make charcoal, we sell our sawdust, and we also do shavings, which we'll have a video about that coming up. And then we try and sell unique products out of the trees, crotches and burls, some things that artists are interested in. Again, to answer the question, is basically so that we could have a firewood yard and that there would be things to do when we have inclement weather, which is around here quite a bit. It's probably 1/3 of the week, most weeks. If you're able to see that mountain in the background, that is one of the log sites where we're working. It's very, very steep.
Extremely steep. Well, it looks it.
It's not what you're seeing here, the field. It's what's back behind there. That is often snow-capped at the top, and there's no snow down below. It's not all that high, but the Pennsylvania mountains tend to do that. So
somebody asked, what's the dowry?
I'm gonna assume that you mean what is the dowry that I would receive as payment for a suitor for my girls?
I guess.
That's
2 sheep, 5 cows.
2 sheep, 5 cows. That you know, I think there might be a lot of young men watching my beautiful girls on these videos. I'm not stupid. I assume that's happening. So I can make this into a joke, or I can answer it. They're very beautiful girls. They're very intelligent, and they're very special people. And
so the dowry is going to be really expensive, is what he's saying.
The dowry is this, and this is just a fact of life, and every young man ought to think about it. You need to have something to offer. You don't show up empty-handed with no work ethic, no education, no experience, and just think, oh, my intrinsic value within myself is so great that, you know, I have something to offer. A dowry is actually a proving ground. So, you know, do I require something? Yeah. You have to meet me. I have to approve of you.
And they also have to be hot. They have to be good looking, please, Dad.
I really don't care what you look like.
Oh, I do.
I think though that the girls aren't interested in a guy that looks like a toad.
No.
But they're very special people, and I am very involved in their lives, and I will be part of a marriage approval process.
Oh, that's
so
scary.
You've got to get it over on the father before you can date the girls. So, I know there's some questions that come up, and we chuckle about them at dinner. All that's fine, but, you have to get through me first.
Ooh, hear that, boys?
So that's the answer. And that's the last question I'm gonna take for the day. I don't like doing this, and I've been captured in one of my trucks, and that's how Em pulled this one off. So hope you liked the video. Am I supposed to say that? Oh, like, subscribe, whatever. So
and follow us on Instagram at lumbercapital07 with an A.